You want to fix your problems, man, and they tell you to change your thinking. You're like, well, I'm entitled to think whatever I want. Yeah, you are. You're also entitled to get the consequences from that too. They say change your thinking, and you think like, well, how could that have a big of it? How could that really be the impact of my life? No, that is the thing that impacts your life. Every single person, their life is a manifestation of what they think. They're not just their reality, not just their perception of reality, but their entire lives. Each and every single person that lives today or has ever existed ever, their life is a manifestation of what they believe, what they think, what they tell themselves, the stories they create, and all that shit. And you tell somebody to change their thinking, and if you tell somebody to change their thinking and they grew up poor, they're like, well, how the fuck do I do that? I can't change the way that I think. Here's how you do it. Because you can't just like start thinking different things. That's like throwing a rock into a tidal wave. It ain't gonna do a lick of fucking good. And why do people think a certain way? Well, people think a certain way, and they're like, oh, well, I'm entitled to think a certain way. Yeah, you are. People think a certain way because they just want to feel okay. They want to feel good. They want to feel safe. And anything that challenges that makes them feel angry, right? And I know why. And I know why people are doing that too. They're fighting for their vanity. They're fighting for their pride. They're fighting for their false pride, rather. They're fighting for their ego. Because it's all masking feeling feelings that you don't want to feel. And ultimately, it's lying. If you're fighting for your vanity, if you're fighting for your false pride, if you're fighting for your pious soapbox of morality, or whatever it is, your indignation, if you're fighting for those things, you are lying. You're lying to yourself, and you're lying to everyone else. And that's why they say, well, you're only fooling yourself. Because anyone who's healthy can see right through that shit. We know what's going on. And there's that feeling, there's the feeling that goes with that of being like, oh, well, I'm being judged. Well, yeah, you are being judged, but not as much as you're judging yourself. And that goes, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense, so I'm going to tell you. That goes hand in hand with your broken thinking. Because you were taught, we were taught to be exceptionally hard on ourselves. We were taught to be cruel with ourselves. We were taught to expect things out of ourselves that were unfair and unreasonable. We were taught to accept responsibility for things that weren't ours in the first place, things that we weren't responsible for. That's part of codependency. We were taught all these things. We were taught broken thinking. We were taught all the skills and tools in life to fail. And that's why many people, including myself, and I went through it, and I've learned from it. That's why I'm creating content to help you overcome it yourself. And that's why we're filled with all these feelings that are all fucked up, and we don't know how to surmount them. And the only way that we can feel okay, or feel better, or feel like it's not at our expense, or that we're in the wrong, so we do it with all this false pride narrative, all this ego narrative, all this fucking bullshit that's ultimately emotionally unhealthy. So how do you change your thinking? You gotta be honest about what hurts. All that shit that you're fighting to hide, you gotta tell the truth about what happened and how it affected you. And that's where that saying, the truth will set you free, that's where that comes into play. You tell the truth. You feel your feelings, really feel the grief, express it, cry, all that shit, let it out in a safe place. You keep doing that. You keep doing that for the rest of your life, and it'll change your life more than I could ever convey to you at this moment.